Hey, have you heard about my AI alter ego? That's right. Ask Alan Anything is now live, and we've trained it on my 13 books. We've trained it on over 200 podcasts. It has most of what's in here, not everything, but most of what's in here. And you can, when you're sitting around going, gee, I wonder what Alan would do in this situation, or I wonder what Alan would say in this situation. Well, now you can. Go to whatwouldallansay.com. Enter the coupon code podcast because you're going to get half off. It starts at only $10 a month. And now when you're thinking, I wonder what Alan say, now you can actually ask. Go to whatwouldallansay.com, enter the coupon code podcast, and start asking me anything. Do you love it where you are? Does your team love it where they are? Listen to this episode. You're going to want to hear it. Welcome to another episode of the Wedding Business Solutions Podcast. I'm your host, Alan Berg. I'm a speaker, author, sales trainer, website reviewer, and I help businesses like yours sell more, profit more, and have more fun doing it. Enjoy this episode. Hey, it's Alan Berg. Welcome back to another episode of the Wedding Business Solutions Podcast. I am so excited to have my friend Clint Pulver on to talk about his book, I Love It Here. Clint, how you doing?
I'm doing great, Alan. Thanks for letting me be a part of the show.
Well, thank you for having a great book. I mentioned to you offline that I try to read the books of my speaker friends to know more about what they speak about. And if I think they resonate to my audience, I invite them on. I've had quite a few of our speaker friends on here, and I'm glad to have you on as well. So talk to a little bit about the book, right? I Love It Here. What is the synopsis for people? And then we'll get into some of the stuff that's in it.
Yeah, so for 6.5 years, I've traveled the world as the undercover millennial. So I'm a millennial. That's the generation I was born in. And so at the time when we did the study, I was young enough to where I would go into organizations, workplaces as someone who was looking for a job. And I'd walk in and just say, hey, I'm just thinking about applying. I'm looking for work. Before I apply, I just wanted to ask, what's it like to work here? And the employees, they always get kind of quiet. You know, they start looking around. Feels like an illegal drug exchange. And then they tell me everything. They tell me everything. They tell me the good. They tell me the bad. They tell me who they love, who they don't love. And the reason they tell me is because I'm not an employee survey. I'm not a one-on-one manager meeting. I was just a potential hire. So we have now done this with 497 organizations. And as of this year, I've interviewed over 11,000 employees undercover. And the magic of all of the research was when I would go in undercover and I would ask people, what's it like to work here? And they would respond with, I love it here. I love my job. And why? And I'd go to the next employee and the next, and they would say the same things. Why? What was one customer service center or one mobile store doing or one hospital doing that 6 blocks down the street, the competing company was a complete nightmare? What were the differences and what were those leaders doing to create an organization that people never want to leave? And that's what the book's about.
And it's not just the competing companies, it's different locations of the same company. If you have a company in multiple locations, you talk to, well, thanks for clarifying, because I thought you actually took these jobs. Like you were actually working these jobs. I'm like, oh my gosh, he's working at a sporting goods store. He's working at a pet store. He's working all these different things.
Make it a lot harder. Yeah.
Yeah. One of the things that resonate is when you said people quit bosses, they don't quit jobs.
Yeah.
Right. And that's powerful because it's so true. Your environment is not about your building. Your environment is how you feel when you come in and do you feel valued. Right. So when you said, people that love their job, it's because of their immediate supervisor. Is that it?
Yeah. Well, and the magic was because there's no incentive for an employee to walk up to a boss, especially when things aren't going well, and to walk up to him and say, hey, Doug, just so you know, every time we lose as a team, you blame everybody else. Or, hey, Doug, every time we win as a team, you take all the credit. We just wanted to tell you that, Doug. Happy Tuesday. We hope you do better. Like employees there's no incentive for an employee to say that. So instead, what do employees do? They leave, or worse, they mentally check out and then they stay. And there is a gap between the perception of leadership versus the reality of an employee's experience. And we saw when employees hated their jobs, they always described a manager. But when employees loved their jobs, they described that manager as what we call the mentor. Mentorship, management, mentorship over management. Mentorship is unique because mentorship has to be earned. You cannot become the mentor until the mentee invites you into their heart. And it was so powerful to watch these mentors, these incredible individuals that understood the difference between developing an employee versus advocating for an employee. Developing versus advocating. And those were the two variables, Alan, and all of the research that I could tell very quickly going in undercover whether or not that business was surviving or thriving based off of two things: standards, which is the development side of a business, and then connection, which is the advocacy side of a business. So standards would be like profitability, growth. Are we doing better today than we were yesterday? What are our core values? I need you to show up on time. Here are the responsibilities of the job. Those are the tangible sides of the workplace.
Right.
The intangible side is making sure that people feel seen, they feel heard, they feel understood. It's when you as a manager realize that your people have a life outside of work. And so those were the two variables that we were able to see. And depending upon how a leader used those two dynamics, determined what type of manager they got to be in the story.
Yeah. I remember when I first got into a supervisory position, it just happened. It was one of those things that just happens. And I would think back about the bosses that I had, the good bosses, the bad bosses.
Yeah,
And you don't always see it, right? You don't always see it when you're in the moment, but you can look back at it. And remember when I graduated college and got a job in advertising, the job I want, largest ad agency in the country. And I kind of remember I was chained to a desk in the basement somewhere, one of those jobs, magna cum laude college degree, making minimum wage,
yeah,
wearing a suit and tie to come into Manhattan every day, brown bagging lunch. So I had money to take my girlfriend out for a dinner maybe.
yeah, yeah,
Um, and not learning anything, right? Like just do this job, just do this job over here. And I applied for a job in retail, right? You do a lot with retail, and you know how retail pays so well, right? But
yes,
when the district manager asked me, "Why do you want this job as an assistant manager? Like you've never worked in a store before. Why do you want this job?" And I said, "Because it pays 50% more than I'm making now."
yeah,
Right? Now imagine that retail paid 50% more than advertising. That's
yeah,
bad. That's
yeah,
bad. What I realized is she didn't hire my resume. She hired me,
mhm,
right? And fast forward to when I'm at the Knot and I'm vice president of sales or regional sales director, get to hire people. The resume is what someone has given you a chance to do. It's not what you're capable of because we don't know what you're capable of. And
yeah,
I tried to pay that forward when I realized, oh my gosh, because when she left and went to a different district and the other guy came in and he was one of these, you do it this way because we told you to do it this way and because I said so. And that's when I left
yeah, totally.
because
Yep,
I left him. I would have stayed for her,
sure.
but I left him. Perfect. So you talk about a status interview, right? And
Mhm,
and usually you do that as an exit interview. Somebody's leaving and it's like, hey, what was going on here? But you say to do this on a regular basis.
yeah,
But so what is it? I think it was three questions, right? So
yep.
what are the three questions, and when should somebody do this?
Yeah, I think with new employees, at least twice a year, and with continuing employees that are beyond a year in your business, at least annually. And this is not a performance review. This is not a
Yeah.
moment for you to check in and to say, hey, these are the things that need to be better or be done better. This is a chance for you to become the advocate, the mentor in the story. And so we found that great leaders in a variation, when they did this, when people talked about how they were seen, they were seen in a way that you get what I need. You get what I'm trying to do here. You're not just here to push me in the job. You're not here to pull me. You're here to walk with me. And because I work here, I get to live a better story. And so that was established in a variation of these three core questions. Number one, I think every leader should ask this of their employees. First of all, if you're not the mentor in the story, this is hard to make work in an authentic way. But if you've achieved that, congrats. You would sit down and you'd create a moment with an employee and you would start with vocal praise. So, Alan, if you were my employee, I would sit on this Zoom call and I'd say, hey, listen, I just wanted to jump on because, Alan, we need you. I need to tell you how much we need you. I need to show you that who you are and what you do in our business, it matters. We can't do this without you. And literally, I'm calling this meeting because I got to make sure that you're taken care of. We need you. So then I would ask you these three questions. I would say, Alan, I just need to know, as your boss, what can we be doing to keep you here? What can we do to keep you here? That's the first question. Second question is, what is getting in the way of your success at work? Is it other employees? Is it the product? Is it the process? Is it communication? Is it uh, is it the pay? Is it the schedule? Like what is it at work that's not allowing you to be successful in your life? And then the third question is what can I do to help you get there? What can I do personally as the person that has been placed in your as a leader in your
Mm.
story, as the mentor? What can I do to help you get there? Those three
Very,
questions. And the
very
wild
cool.
thing is, most people are never asked those three questions unless it's in the exit interview. Yeah.
Yeah. I wish I had your book back when I was VP of sales and sales director. I did something similar, but it was when someone wasn't performing to their ability.
Hmm.
I would go and I'd say, listen, Clint, first of all, I would never walk up to somebody or call them and say, listen, your numbers suck
Yep.
because you got the report. I got the report. Like, this is
Yeah.
not a
Yeah. Yeah.
secret.
They know that.
This not, it's like when you were talking about with drums with your mom, your report card was not a secret, right?
Yes.
It was not a secret, right? Whether she was going to bring it up is another story, but it wasn't a secret.
Yeah.
So I would say, listen, Clint, I know that you're capable of more than this. What do you need from me to get there?
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
And it was a variation of that, but the whole more what you said was deeper than that. But that's what I would do because I thought I put the right people in the right seats and I thought I gave them everything. I said, what do you need from me? Because you're not getting where I know you could be.
Yeah.
Right. And that's the way that I would approach it. Because if I didn't think they were capable, why were they on the team?
Totally. Totally.
Like, right. And you also talked about, putting the right people in the right seats. I had people we had to move within the company, right? We
Totally.
love you. This isn't the place for you. Like you
Correct.
don't belong there. That's not your thing. I do need to shift gears just a little bit. You told a great story, and I'm going to let people read the book about how you ended up becoming a drummer, right? Mr. Jensen becoming a
Yep.
drummer. So you had a teacher saw something in you. You're moving one hand one way, one hand the other way, and your feet, and all these things that drummers have to do. What is it called? Four by, or what is it? Where it's each hand foot is doing something different.
Yeah.
What
We're
is
just
that?
ambidextrous,
Yeah,
independence of our limbs. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
something like that. And this teacher sees this and is like blown away that you can do this stuff. But he pulls a set of drumsticks out of his drawer. Why did Mr. Jensen have drumsticks in his drawer? That's what I wanted to know.
Yeah. Well, it was a designed moment. It was planned. It was something that he had observed, is something that he watched, and he went out on his own and he bought those sticks
Okay.
and created a moment. Yeah, it
Okay.
was all by
Yeah,
design.
that makes the story even better because I'm thinking Mr. Jensen was a drummer and just saw another drummer, but he went out and got drumsticks for you. That's amazing. You look back and you think about that in life and say, that he saw that potential, not a problem, or the principal was like, "What? You got sent to my office for tapping your fingers? Like, go back to class."
Oh, oh,
Well, go back to class and sit on your hands is what he said to you, but that's another story. Um, the Iron Cowboy. Tell people who the Iron Cowboy is.
yeah. So the Iron Cowboy, his name's James Lawrence. He ran 50 Ironmans in 50 days in 50 different states. And then he just recently did what's called the Conquer 100, where he ran 100 full distance triathlons in 100 consecutive days. Yeah.
Well, just think
Unbelievable.
about that. The first time he did 50 triathlons. So what is that? That's how many miles of swimming? 2 point something.
Yeah. I don't know this.
It's over
Yeah.
2 miles of swimming. It's like 100 miles of biking, and it's running a marathon,
Yep.
right?
Yep. It's
And then he
crazy.
did that 50 days in a row in 50 different states.
Mm-hmm.
Like doing one is a huge thing, right? So you asked him, and people ask him all the time, right? I'm sure he's interviewed all the time. How do you do that? Now 100 in 100 days, right? And his answer is,
Yeah, he did the impossible by doing small things consistently over a long period of time.
yeah,
Get really
yeah.
good at doing small things
Yeah.
consistently over a long period of time.
I put a post up yesterday on my social because I'm on Duolingo doing French, and it was
Yeah.
1,700 days.
Mm.
Yesterday was 1,700 days in a row. And when I heard
Congratulations.
you say that in the book, that's what it is, right? Some days it's one, like the one lesson. Some days like I gotta keep my streak. I'm gonna keep the green owl happy.
Yep.
I'm gonna do that. And other days it's 10 lessons, 15 lessons, hours worth of lessons or whatever. But I heard that and my post I put up there and I said, listen, I know it's just a number, but it's a reflection of that, right? Small things consistently over a long period of
Yeah.
time. And it doesn't matter what you want to get better at in life, right? If you just, like I always say to people, if you did anything 1,700 days in a row, Like if
Hmm.
I drummed for 1700 days in a row, I'd be better. I
Yes.
wouldn't be you, but I would be better, right?
Yeah. 100%. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But then there's also purposeful practice because what he's doing, the Iron Cowboy is doing, he's not just doing this, right? He's purposefully doing these things to get him there.
Correct.
And I think that's the important underlying message is, you know, whatever you do in your job, you know, you want to be better at it. You have to be purposeful about what you want to be better at. And I think as a mentor, right, you need to see that in someone, right?
Yeah. And I think that's what great mentors do is they spark the possibilities, right? They communicate the potential and the worth of an individual to the point that they see it within themselves. And that's what
Yeah.
Mr. Jensen did for me. He saw
Yeah.
something that I didn't see, other people didn't see,
Yeah.
and he turned it into a possibility. And I'll never forget him for that, ever.
Yeah. I saw a post on LinkedIn which reminded me of your book there, and I think it was the Nancy story also. It was somebody who said that the difference between this particular manager in this department versus the other people in whatever this company was her notebook. And I apologize to whoever posted it because I forget who posted it. But the idea was that this person every week on Friday would talk to their people that were working, in their department, and hey, what do you got going on this weekend? What's going on? But they would make notes and they would make notes, right? This one's got his kid's soccer game, and this one's going
Oh, no.
kayaking, and this goes whatever.
Oh, no.
And then on Monday, it was like, hey, Clint, how was the kayaking? Hey, how'd your daughter do in the soccer game or whatever? And that's that connection, which is these are people. They're
Yeah.
not just employees. They're not cogs, unless you treat them that way, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which won't last very long. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. If you treat them like they're not worth anything, they're not. I hear people with like sales training. I do sales training, and people are like, well, yeah, but if we give them sales training, they're just going to leave and go somewhere else. And your comment is, what if you don't?
Yeah. What if you don't and then they stay? Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Or even worse. Then yeah, it's a and there's just that idea of like mentally checking out, right? And staying. Like what's worse? Um, and again, if there are certain industries where there is higher amounts of turnover, where retention is more difficult than others. But my goodness, if you can retain an employee for, you know, 2 years versus 2 months in many industries, that is a massive win. And it
yeah,
comes down to, again, that advocacy and you're helping people to be better humans. And when you do
yeah.
that, that is the new currency in the world of retention. It's not just the benefits, it's not the perks, it's not just the beanbag chairs and the ping pong tables and the free food that you give at work. It's about because I work here, I get to go home and be a better mom. It's because I work here, I go home and I'm a better dad and I'm creating a better family. And um, when oh my goodness, I don't just love the job, but I actually love who I am while I'm at the job.
Mm,
If we can create that dynamic, you win. You win.
right,
And it might not be forever,
right.
but you win in the game of just helping people to live a better story. And it's a massive part of employee
Yeah.
retention.
I remember when I was regional sales director, I'd have my direct reports, and somebody like, oh, my daughter's got a soccer game today. Is it okay if I stop at 3? And these are all remote workers. And I was like, yeah, but only if you tell me how she did, right?
Yeah.
I want to know,
Yeah.
right? Because we're people. There's a list comes out every year, best companies to work for, right? And
Mhm. Mhm.
when I was at the Knot, I didn't work in the New York City office. I worked from home, but I would go in once a month or so. And I was driving in one day and listening to the radio, and there was the 10 best companies to work for. I remember walking into the CEO's office and saying, what are we doing to get on that list?
Yeah.
And he said, absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
And I said, why? He said, well, people come work for us for a year and a half, put us on their resume and go someplace else. I
Yeah.
said, that might work in editorial, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
That doesn't
Hmm.
work for me in sales. I
Yeah.
said, I want my people here a long time. And the very first person that I hired, I think he left the company last year after 22 years, right?
So
And
cool.
and I think of all the other people that I worked with there. I was there for 11 years, that I worked with for 11 years, some of whom are still there,
Yeah.
were there before me or whatever. When I was in advertising, I
Hmm.
found out that the only way to get ahead was to leave the company and go to another company.
Yeah.
And they said, wait a minute, like I can't stay here and just work my way up. And they said, no, that's not how it works in this industry. You go to the other company, you kind of lie about how much you're making, you get a raise, right?
Yeah.
And you do this zigzag thing. I said, wait, my dad worked for an accounting firm for 17 years, went to
Yeah.
another one for 10 years, became a partner there, then went out on his own, right? I said, so that doesn't happen? They said, no, not in this industry. And I
Yeah,
said, then it's not my industry.
totally.
That was it.
Yep.
I left. And then the other thing is I'm in this industry because I was in a job I hated,
Hmm.
but I did it really well because my parents always instilled in me, if you took the job, you do the best you can at that job.
Yes.
If you don't like the job, you don't do a bad job. You
Yeah,
don't check out, like you said, because that's what'll happen. You leave. And
totally.
all they could do was show me how much money I was making. And I was a little bit younger than you at the time. Yeah, probably, yeah, a little bit younger than you at the time. And I said, it's not the money. And I had an epiphany because I know you're talking about incentivizing people and, money matters to a point, but it didn't matter when I wasn't home for my pregnant wife. It didn't
Totally.
matter when I wasn't there for my 3-year-old son. It didn't matter when I was working a half a day, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., 12 hours. That's a half a day,
Yep.
right? Yeah, it's a half a day,
Yep. Yep.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I said the words out loud, it's not the money. And I was like, wow, I actually meant that.
Yeah.
And if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't be in this industry and created this life over, 3 decades where I love what I do. I can't wait to do what I do. I love doing this.
Yeah.
Um, but I've created this for myself. But I even had that when I was working for a company. I loved doing what I did. And if I didn't, I wouldn't have been there, you know?
You nailed, Alan, the three key factors that great, and I talk about at the very end of the book. It's passion, purpose, and the ability to provide.
Yeah.
Like again, there's the advocacy, there's becoming the mentor in the story.
Yeah.
But ultimately, are we creating a dynamic where people can just truly, first of all, play to their passions? They love what they do. They
Yeah.
love the job. They love it fills their cup up. It's very intrinsically motivating. They enjoy it, right? But then there's a sense of what I call purpose, but it's significance, right? There's success in business, and then there's significance.
Yeah.
And that is the ability to do something bigger than yourself, where you feel like you're actually contributing to the world. There's a sense of
Yeah.
fulfillment. It's not just about you, but it's about what you're doing for the world. And then that third component is the ability to provide in a way that's financially sufficient for you,
Right.
right?
Right.
I could have all the passion and joy and fulfillment in the world, but if I'm every month stressed out and I can't pay my bills and I can't feed my family, like I don't care how fun it is. Like that's not total fulfillment. That's not total
Right.
significance. And so those three things, that was an overarching, beautiful theme to see how great leaders were also fulfilling those three P's in the lives of their people. And you demonstrated it
Yeah.
perfectly in
Yeah.
what you were talking about.
And the money matters, but to a point. Once you've satisfied that you're
Yeah,
paying all the
sure.
bills, more money might not help. Like when I had my sales reps, I had, I think the most I ever had was maybe 2 or 3 men on the team. It
Mhm.
was out of 50, 60 people, it was mostly women. I had single women, I had married women, I had divorced women. I mean, I had moms, I had, you name it, I had one of everything, right?
Yep.
If I gave them a bonus in dollars, it went into the household funds.
Hmm.
But if I gave them a gift card for a spa day, or if I gave them a gift card to Petco because they love their dog,
Yep.
that
Yep.
felt, even though the dollar amount could be lower, that felt more important because it was about them, because I
Totally.
understood them.
Yep.
And yeah, money's nice, but boop, it's gone.
Yeah. Yep.
There it is. It's gone. So again, it just so many things here. Now, thinking about my industry, you mentioned some industries are harder.
Mhm.
The venues and the caterers, right? They have a lot of people that are working events, right? And again, you know it. You worked at a hotel yourself. I remember you had a great mentor over there as well.
Yeah.
But you have these people that are going to be somewhat cyclical. How do you keep those people when, it's not that you're working with them 9 to 5, 5 days a week, right?
Mhm.
You're going to have these people that are servers and, kitchen staff and stuff like that. How, how do you do that? How could you mentor those people when you're not in the same environment as like an office environment?
Yeah. I think it's all about moments, right? People don't remember days in their lives, they remember moments. And there's power, just like what we talked about with James, right? Doing small things consistently over a long period of time. Sometimes some managers feel like I got to be with that person every day. I got to see them every day. They got to be in the office. And I would say it's not so much, again, about the consistent I'm with you every day as much as I'm consistently creating moments when we are
Okay.
together. That
Okay.
quality, that significance of, I look back on, Mr. Jensen, for example. Like, I don't remember his curriculum. Like I don't remember his lesson plans. I don't remember the day to day. All I remember really is the drumsticks. And so I think it's a good reminder for every leader that you're doing better than you think you are. And sometimes less is more, but making sure that even what you are doing, again, it has a sense of personal investment attached with it. I love what you said. If someone has a dog, like getting them a gift card to Petco versus uh, a thank you note. Or maybe somebody wants the thank you note and they don't really care about doing an offsite excursion with the team, right?
Hmm.
Because every employee is asking the question, let me know when it gets to the part about me.
Right.
And
Right.
some bosses hear that and they think, well, those entitled little shining stars in my life. Everybody's asking, let me know when it gets to the part about me.
Right.
It's not so much about entitlement as it is about just good leadership. And I think when leaders try to create a moment, little by little, over time, that
Mhm.
gets to the part about the individual. That's the power. That's the magic. Um,
Yeah.
and so in an environment where again everybody's not always around each other, it's when you are together and when you're with them. And again, you're designing it. You're thinking about, okay, what does this individual need? What matters to them? How do I get to the part about them? And design it, create it. I mean, my goodness, in your world, it all revolves around designing moments. Like that is
Yeah.
what they do. And
Right.
so taking that same approach to your people, those little moments, man, they matter. That's what people remember.
In personal life, I think it's the same thing. My wife and I have stopped celebrating the Hallmark holidays,
Yeah,
so Mother's Day, Valentine's Day, whatever, because it's an outside force saying you should be doing something today.
correct. Yes, yes.
And if I do something on Tuesday, just because I thought of my wife or my son or my grandson or whatever, that has more impact because nobody said you need to do this. And it's again, it's not about the money.
Yep.
It's about the moments. I remember a bunch of years ago, I started to say out loud the things I would think, like my wife, "Hey, your hair looks really nice today." Right.
Yeah.
Whereas before it might be just like, her hair looks nice. Right. It was an
Yeah.
internal
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah. Yeah. You're
Right.
vocalizing it.
And she wasn't used to that necessarily. I not that I wouldn't say nice things, but I was doing it more. But you know how people do it, like, oh, that's a pretty blouse. Oh, this old thing, this old thing over
Yeah.
here.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
All right here. Oh, I couldn't get it right. So one day I said, if you throw them away, the compliments will stop coming.
Hmm. Hmm.
So the best thing to say is thank you.
Totally.
And you don't have to reciprocate. That's another thing I've learned in my life. Somebody says something nice, you don't have to reciprocate. You have to give them an acceptance of the gift by saying, thank you.
Thank.
Thank you
Yeah.
very much. Thank you. That makes me feel good. Thank you. Right? Just accept it. Take it.
Totally.
When I was VP of sales, if I get a bonus, when I get a bonus, it gave me pleasure to buy something for my wife and buy something for my sons
Yeah.
because I had what I needed. And,
Yeah.
and and if I needed it, I had it. If I wanted, I probably had it. So I didn't wait for a bonus to get it. But man, okay, what can I buy them? Like I wanted to get my son a guitar, but I wanted to know what color he wanted and all this kind of stuff. So I planned this ruse for how to find out, right? And we're at an Allman Brothers concert in New York City at the Beekman Theater, and one of the guys is playing a Les Paul, and his guitar teacher had this really great knockoff of a Les Paul. So I knew where he got it, but I'm like, gee, is it the Sunburst? Is it the blue? Like, what color does he want? So we're watching this concert. I was like, oh, that's a beautiful guitar. He goes, yeah. I said, man, if you ever got one of those, what color do you think you'd get? You think you'd get that color? He goes, no, the blue one is really pretty. Oh yeah, the blue one's really nice. And
Hmm.
then I go
Hmm.
and I buy him that blue guitar, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Just blown away.
Totally.
It's like, what
Totally.
is, what does it matter? I'll give you one last story on this because I know you're a happily married man. I've seen your wife and family there, and you talk so lovingly about him as well. Um, when my mom passed, she had this little paring knife, this little tiny knife, and who knows how old it was. Like we could barely read the brand on it; it was so worn.
Yeah.
When she passed, my wife said to my dad, can I have that? Because mom used that for everything. Like she didn't have she had a whole set of knives, but she used this little tiny knife for everything, right? It was a surgeon with this knife. And my dad didn't cook. He's like, sure, take it, right? So my wife's got this. And she loved this little knife. So I'm looking one day, wow, I wonder if I can find her more from this company. So I magnifying glass, no joke. I'm like trying to figure, and sure enough, yeah, they still make them. And of course, you sell them on Amazon, right? So I go and I order a set of three knives, right? Like these three and they were like aluminum handled little paring knives. It was $25 for these knives.
Yeah.
And we all share an Amazon account. So I was hoping this was going to show up and I could surprise her. But sure, she goes in to look for something when it did get shipped. And she's like, oh, you got me the knives? And we never talked about it. And I was
Oh,
like, yeah, but it was supposed to be a surprise. She goes, you found me the knives, right? You thought I
totally.
gave her diamonds, right?
Totally.
But
Yep.
then the funniest part of the story is fast forward about a month, we're at the dinner with friends and she's telling them about these knives. She goes, and you would not believe it, these knives never go dull.
Mhm.
And I looked at her and said, you do know that I sharpen them. She
Yeah,
swore these were magic knives that
that's
never
so
went
funny.
dull. That never
That's
went. But it was not the cost. It was the thought. I think that she'd really like this. And again, it was better than diamonds, better than
yeah,
diamonds. And whether it's people that you work with, people that you live with, or whatever, that thought in there of let me make it about you. It's not about the money. It's about you. That's great. And you also last thing you talk about keeping it simple.
yeah.
So
That was what I was gonna segue off of just what you said, because here's the big problem is first of all, sometimes we get managers that are put into a management position because they excelled at their job, right? They were great in
right,
sales, and so the next step to
yeah,
advance you, let's throw you into leadership.
yeah,
And they don't love people. They're really good at performing, they're really good at
right,
sales, but then they're thrown in because they want more money. And then we have this dynamic where we have managers that don't understand that that's the job, is to advocate. That's the job, is to
right,
love and to guide and support and connect and create moments. So
yeah,
that whole dynamic is a foundational issue. The second issue is managers are burnt out. They're tired. They're so busy. There's something to be said for financial affluence in a business. There is something equally to be said for time affluence,
yeah,
where you have time. Like I talk about a status interview. I talk about, going out and buying a gift card. And some managers like, dude, I don't have the time.
mm,
Like the thought of doing that, like just doing it for maybe two or three employees, let alone for 300, 400, like I don't
yeah,
have the time. And
yeah,
so there's something to be said for getting things done. We found that most leaders, the great mentors, they were masterful at the to don't list, not a to do list, but the to don't list, the things
mm,
that they needed to stop doing so that they could actually focus on the things that really mattered.
yeah,
And Da Vinci says it better than I ever could, but simplicity is the ultimate sophistication. And if every leader took some time to really understand, okay, what's taking my time? What is not allowing me to be present and to walk the halls and to be with an employee, to take an employee to lunch, to do a status interview? Like, what are the things that are eliminating that? And I think that more companies are learning. They're hiring what I call employee engagement specialists. These are people that are day makers. These are people that literally work with hand in hand with that manager, with that CEO, with that leader, in helping them to create moments, in helping them to be a little bit more present. Again, a secretary, a VA, other people that can help to
yeah,
eliminate just some of the busyness. Because man, if you are so busy with the to-do list, you'll never find the time for the to-don'ts, and it's in the to-don'ts that most of the time you're able to create those moments. You've said no to a few things so that you could go out and buy the paring knives. That
right.
that that that's a part of it. You've got to simplify your life.
It's I used to say to my team, if I'm doing it right, if I hired the right people, put them in the right seats,
Mhm.
trained them well, supported them, gave them everything they need to succeed, it should look like I'm doing nothing.
Yeah,
I should have the time to do that because I
correct.
did that. I had one sales rep would, always call me up about her mom and complain about her mom. And I'd say, listen, if you're making your numbers, Dr. Berg's couch is open,
Yep.
right? If you're not making your numbers, then we're going to talk about work before we talk about your mom. We're not going to talk about your mom, but if you're
Yeah.
making your numbers, we could talk about your mom all day long. If you're making your numbers,
Yeah.
I am happy to talk about your mom,
Yeah.
but I'm not happy to talk about your mom all day
Yeah.
if you're not making your numbers. But I understood the dynamic going on there because, again, it is people. I love when you said in the book, nobody's got 100% retention because you don't control moving, marriage, divorce, babies, sickness. We don't control that stuff. We can't control that. But I'm always impressed when I brought in for sales training and I say, hey, how long are you working here? 5 years. How long are you here? 7 years. How long are you here? 12 years. I'm like, that tells me a lot about the management, right?
Yeah. And I'll ask employees, never in all of the 11,000 plus interviews that I have done now, not once did an employee say undercover when I would ask, what's it like to work here? And they'd say, I love it here. And then I'd ask why. Never did they ever say, we're so good at time management here. I'll never leave, or like we run the best meetings. Our P&L statement is unreal. Like our quotas are getting better. And like nobody talks about that.
Right.
What they talk about are usually they're the moments, but it's a
Hmm.
moment when a leader said no to something so that they could say yes to them.
Yeah.
They like, I don't know, and I think that's important to think about. And um, employees spell mentorship Time. Granted, they can't spell that well, but that's how they spell it. As cliche as that sounds, time, time. It's a
Yeah.
huge part of retention. Uh, how can you advocate and be with like without giving
Right.
that time? And so
Have you familiar with the book Why Work Sucks?
I have not ever read that book. No.
Okay, so Why Work Sucks was created by two people who worked in the Best Buy corporate offices back in the early 2000s,
Okay.
and they were charged with finding out why there was so much voluntary turnover in the corporate office.
Hmm.
And what they came up with was a ROWE, a results only work environment. We don't
Hmm.
own your time, we own your results. I hired you to get results.
Yeah.
And you talked in the book about a guy who stopped working at 4:30 every day to walk his dog and to go fishing,
Hmm.
right? And that's, we understand you, we
Yep.
love you,
Yep.
and we're okay with that. And he was okay with making a little less money, and they're
Yep.
okay with him doing that. Just like I was okay with a rep going to a soccer game or dance recital or whatever,
Totally.
it's okay. But yeah, so why work sucks. And they talked about, if somebody can get the work done in less time,
Totally.
good,
Yeah. Wonderful.
good,
Yep.
right? But then that, so that was, again, it's called Why Work Sucks, but it was all about time. Is that we don't own your time. We're hiring you to do a job, right? It's like I pay my virtual assistant. This is what I need you to do in the month. This is what I'm going to pay you for the month. I don't care when you do it as long as the deadlines are met. But
Yeah.
you want to do it way ahead of time? Cool. You want to do it the night before? I don't care as long as it got done.
Yep.
And that's the way it is. But and then the praise thing as well is like, hey, that was good. Again, we can go on forever. I keep saying one more thing. There was one project where I was going to say, listen, I need you to do this and do it this way. And instead I said, hey, I need this done. You want to take a crack at it? And she's like, sure. And came back with something I could never have come up with,
Hmm.
right? Because
Hmm.
I gave the freedom to, I need a result. It doesn't have to be my result, right? I need
Yes.
the result. And that's, I think people feel more valued when it's like, you want to know what I think. I would do the same thing if somebody came to me and said, I have a problem with a customer. I'd say, no, you don't. This, yeah, I do. I said, no. Would you like to talk about your customer?
Yeah.
Sure. What's going on? This is what's going on. I said, okay, what do you think we should do? You want to know what I think? Yeah, it's your customer. Like, what's going to make
Yeah.
them happy? And that's two things happened. One is it empowered them. And the second is they stopped coming to me every time because they knew they could come up with the answer for their customer.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's a great example, right, of that standards and connection, right? You're
Yeah.
connecting with them, you're getting to the part about them, but you're also upholding high standards. I still need results. We still need to
Yeah.
get things done, but I also understand that you're a person to be loved, and I've got to get to the part about you. That's why those
Yeah.
two things are
Right.
crucial.
And what if some people value said flexible schedule? I had a rep I know was in the gym every morning and it wasn't on the phone at 9 o'clock. My number two rep in the country. Do you think I cared?
Yeah, yeah, like, yep,
Please go work out.
yep.
Please. It's
And there's
working
got to
well.
be that flexibility. There's got to be, because if you're not, too many other organizations are learning how to do that really well.
Yeah.
And that's where people are choosing to go. Yeah.
That's it. All right. So you need to get a copy of I Love It Here, How Great Leaders Create Organizations Their Employees Never Want to Leave. Clint, I'm going to put it in the show notes, but if they want to find out more about you, it's
Yeah, clintpulver.com, all the socials. Yeah, you can find me all those places.
there you go. Well, thank you, my friend. I look forward to next time we're together. And thank you for joining me. Thanks, everybody, for listening, and catch us on the next episode.
Thanks, Alan.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Wedding Business Solutions podcast. If you liked it, please subscribe to this channel and post a review on your chosen platform, Apple Podcasts or whichever one. If you have any questions about anything in this episode or any of my episodes, email me directly at alan@weddingbusinesssolutions.com or visit my website, alanberg.com, alanberg.com. If you have any suggestions for future topics or guests that you'd like to see, please again, email me or visit my website. Thanks for listening.